And this is Scudic, Maine. I'll go up there with my friends Thelma and Sherry every year with all the dogs. And we paint there whatever happens with the weather. And you can see, looking at this, that the rain was coming, and you can see I've used the rain. It's hitting the tree. The color of the rain is hitting the tree. And again, I am standing here. It's stronger. And I move over there. The color is less intense. And this is Port Clyde, the lighthouse at Port Clyde. And this also is Maine, and many people like that. This had been framed. It's a favorite of almost everyone. And this one I don't care as much for, but some people like it. It's at Scudic, in the big rocks, and it's on Blueberry Hill. And this is Tennant's Harbor. When I was teaching there, it's right near the quarry. And this is the house that was used for the quarry, the birches. And this is Tennant's Harbor. And this is also Tennant's Harbor with the fog coming in. And I've taken a little bit of white paint and mixed it with the color of the sky there. And then that color has to permeate through the painting, but not up close. And Maine, this was our September trips. Looked forward to it every year. Every year we went. It was the main trip of the year. And all the dogs would play in Thelma's room at night and make a mess of her room and eat up all our food. And this is Camden, Maine, in the fog. It was a regular watercolor, but the fog came in, and I mixed up the white paint with the color, that dull, dull red, mixed it in, and brought in the fog. And this one, I didn't have to mix any color with this. This is also Tennant's Harbor, and the rain did this one. Look at those washes in there. That is the rain coming in and working with the paint. And Port Clyde. And this is a demonstration. Maybe this painting isn't any good, but boy, it's one of the best compositions I've gotten. It's the Owl's Head light. And look, when I take away that moon, the painting doesn't work. That moon is in a golden section coming down. And this, I couldn't decide. This was not a demonstration. This is, oh, I forget, is it Rockport, Maine? Or it just goes up from Camden. It's going to Camden and the harbor, and no detail. And I was going to put detail in it, but I would ruin the mood. The house at Greenville. And again, we're back at the quarry at Port Clyde. And the rain in Thomaston. And when you paint the rain, you got to watch the values of the painting. You can't just look at the house and everything, but it's everything in its place. How does it relate to each other? Because values all change as the rain comes. And the sunny day in Connecticut. And behind the lighthouse, no, behind the post office at Port Clyde. And that's where I found my dog Bandit, right there. And Thomaston, and this is one of the best compositions ever that I got of a street scene. And look at how the trees, I am here, and I'm moving back a little bit. And then I go so far back, but I wanted you to look back there, so I kept the color so pure. So pure. And look at how you walk from this color, and you're walking back, and you can go behind the house and come out again. Florida. Did that with my father at my father's. That's after the great storm. We have some paintings in the show of Englewood after the storm. And this is near Sanibel in Florida. I was going to put chickens in there. I never got to it. But here's what I'd love to paint. You'll see a painting in the show here of the banyan trees. I don't know why I didn't frame this one. I just don't know why. It took me a couple of trips to Florida to figure how to paint those because the light changes so much. And I put the little figures in of the bicycles because the kids were riding back and forth. But you see, the children show you how great these trees are. A little child would just be right there. The tree is so great. Banyans. And again, Florida after that terrible storm. And this one will certainly be one of the first paintings to sell. And this was in many, many shows. And this is at Tracy Acres in Englewood, Florida. And look at the patterns that I made here. And this also hung in my house for a long time. And right here, you see, to give it scale, I have in great detail, I have that bird. I forget what you call the bird, but you see, you don't see the bird because the values are close. You see here where I wanted you to look. I wanted you to look here, and I wanted you to look there. And that's the second thought. Wonderful painting. Another one. Oh, I love Florida. Oh, I wish I could go there again. This is the beach at Sanibel. Did it at noontime. Well, only wild men, Englishmen, and watercolor painters go out at noontime in Florida. And this is also Sanibel. I think it's Ding Darling Park. Never been seen by anyone until you're seeing it now. Never been seen. I did this so long ago. And look at the birds, how you find where the birds are. Although you don't notice the birds as much, I put them in a very beautiful area, and they're in the center, golden section, center. So they're taking over just by their position. And look at how we go with the water, and we're able to go back, because as the water came closer, it became warmer and darker and more intense, and as we go back across the marsh, it's less. I should have framed that one too. Oh, and this is at the beach at Sanibel. And this, again, this has been in the show at Rockport Art Association of the palm trees. This, again, after that bad storm. And this is the parking lot of Good Harbor Beach in the winter. And they keep it closed now. And it was such a wonderful place to paint with the big sky. And see back here? No, back in here. Looks abstract. You know what that is? That's a Stop and Shop right there. I just used it for a shape. And this painting is the next house, right next to it. This is the Good Harbor Beach. The parking lot. Oh, the mayor must tell the policeman, the police chief, that they have to open the parking lot up in the winter so that dogs can be safe as they go to the beach, but all the painters then could paint again. And can you see how I entered this beach, this picture, with a golden section here coming right down with the sky. Very important entry to the painting, and then the painting moves. Very important piece right there. And that's only a path, an opening of the trees, and Eastern Point. Every day, every week, for 40 years, I would paint Eastern Point, a demonstration showing how we feel about the bigness of the sky, because you stand there and you can see the sky in a whole circle. And we try not to paint it just as is, but that day I fell in love with the breakwater. So I gave the breakwater the big piece and the lighthouse the little piece. And I better erase that mark right there. And see, it's how you feel about things is where you place it. And then I remembered showing how to compose this. And so I'm looking at that lighthouse there in this big breakwater, and can you see, I had to put those figures right there in a golden section center. the figures, you don't even know it's a figure. But that mark there, that mark balances the entire painting. A very important mark. And this is at, I think this is over at Wenham. I think that's what it is. And look at how the tree is here. And I didn't want to go over there at that house. I didn't care about that house at all. I cared about walking through this way and going to the field. And you can see my most pure color, my darks against light, purest color, whole direction is saying, come on over to that field. And this would have been framed. But you know what I did? I don't remember doing it, but I did it. I folded the paper. And so all the value was off. That would have been a very expensive painting of the Chinese man with the monkeys, with my leaves. Be careful when you fold your paper. And again, Eastern Point. But this day at Eastern Point, I decided I love the tree. I love that tree. So I gave that tree the most important. I sent the lighthouse way back. I don't like you that much, lighthouse. The lighthouse is big, but I wanted the tree. The tree became big, and then I wanted to show how great the space is. Here's the space, and you see my color here in this direction. Watch the color as it takes you in and takes you out. And look at that little break in the sky. That was no accident. Golden square, that's in a square, holding the entire sky. See, you have to have that little white piece there to balance the painting. You don't have to put objects in. You do it with your color, you do it with your brush work. Follow the brush. The brush will take you to good places. And a farm in Greenville. How did Eastern Point get into this one? I don't know. This is supposed to be, well, we're just going to leave it there. It doesn't matter. This is Greenville. And this is the Greenville. It's a rainy day. I couldn't finish it, but I liked it enough to keep it. And the white sand of Wingersheek. And this is Caleb's Lane. Nobody's going to like this. It's just a lane. This is where I live. I live right up in here. See, I'm taking the road up there, but you can't see my house. And this is Yvonne Wood's house. And see, there's the fence. That fence is white, but I wanted it that color because I didn't want to see it, because I wanted to picture that house. And you look whether, and you see that house is then balanced with this, with that fence. Caleb's Lane. Oh, by the way, when you paint the shadows, you want to be able to look into the shadows. Look at all the different colors I have. And to push that house, bring this house forward, I had to darken that edge slightly. That's called refraction. And then take you into that. That's how you create space, with refraction. And a Rockport quarry. And look at all, you think it's just old gray rocks? It's not old gray rocks. Look at all the color we have in the rocks. And then these cold rocks in the foreground. And look at how it goes back there. And over by Farnham's, where we get our clams. Nice clam dinner there. They have good, but it was a windy day. Can you feel the wind in that day? And again, looking through a driveway on Caleb's Lane, and look what I found. And see, the whole painting is taking you there. And the house is so little that I had to give it a center. And I had to help that house a bit. So I have the center, I have the mark coming down there. It's called an implied line. And there we go. And these little marks here. Implied line giving strength to the house. And this painting is so old. This painting is State Pier. When I first came here. Now it's all cement and big buildings and everything. It was just a lot of ragweed and rocks. But you know, they fixed it all up. I really like it better the way it was. But all of these are still there. It's this that has changed.